All right, welcome in to the Bobby Carpenter Show with my man Anthony Schlegal here on the Big Play Network. Week 1 is in the books for the Buckeyes. Feels okay. Not the greatest feeling in the world. You'd like to be able to get away with a bigger win, a bigger margin of victory, feel a little comfortable, throw some balls over the top, things to get the folks excited. Like you didn't necessarily see all that, especially in a slate of college football where you saw some blowouts for some teams in the top 10. There were some teams that looked really good, but a lot of teams, when you're replacing a quarterback, there's going to be some struggles. There's going to be some push and pull, and maybe that first half doesn't look and feel as good as you'd like it to. And maybe even the second half, you're not able to stretch it the way that you want. But as you dive in there and you get into it, it wasn't all bad. I know there were some folks out there saying they wanted to drink bleach. I know there were some folks out there saying they didn't feel good about the situation. But Schlegs, how did you feel watching that Buckeye football game?
Woo! All right, yeah. Hey, listen, for today's show, I had to let the traps air out a little bit, man, because it's a little extra bumpy. It's not necessarily what I thought I would see in the first game. And I'm watching this game, 30,000 foot, paid my, $8 for Southwest Airline, so I can get on the intranet. And then I start tweeting because I'm just like you guys. I'm a fan. I'm a fanatic. I love the Buckeyes, man. And, a couple of Wild Turkey 101s in, you start tweeting some cool stuff, just to get a razz. You're like, that's super funny. But let's face it, man. There were some really, really good things that I wanted to see that you and I discussed last week, Bob, and I saw those. And there were some other things that I really wanted to see that you and I discussed last week, Bob, and I didn't see them. And the number one thing was offensive line, right? Again, there's an old adage, man. Usher, right? Him and Lil Jon. Yeah. What's up, man?
Yeah.
All those guys.
Boy.
What? Yeah. All right, anyway, so I didn't see it. Lady in the street with a freak in the bed. I want freaking gentlemen in the street, but from No Limit Soldiers, man. Earth Movers. Hey, look up No Limit Soldiers, TRU, 1997 to 98. It was amazing. Anyways, that's what I want to see. Just absolute dogs that are going to go take people's souls and drive people off the ball, not leaners, right? Earth Movers and diesels. And I think that's what I wanted to see. I was so amped up because the way I saw our defense, Silver Bullets, I wanted to see that from the offense. I don't care about anything else because I'm a tough guy. That's what I like. But that's the one thing that got me juiced up a little bit when I was tweeting 35,000 feet, Bob. What about you?
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on. And like you said, the offensive line left a little something to be desired. We knew there was going to be some issues potentially in the pass game, especially on the left side. You got Josh Simmons, you're coming in there. Left tackle, you got Josh Fryer moving over to right tackle. You have a new center. You're thinking, hey, they could have some stuff. You saw those linebackers on the run throughs. That's not something you want to see on a consistent basis. But you thought in the run game they'd be pretty good, and unfortunately, they weren't as good as advertised. However, a lot of the stuff that we saw, I believe, was correctable.
Yes.
A lot of the stuff we saw, Schlegs, I believe, were mental mistakes. A lot of the things we saw was probably due to some hesitation, especially at the quarterback position, from not wanting to push the ball down the field for fear of what could potentially happen on the negative end. So I think a lot of the stuff that we saw was wholly correctable. As people want to dive in here and they want to get super negative, and I get it. Fan is short for fanatic. People love the Buckeyes. You love the Buckeyes. I love the Buckeyes. Everybody loves the Buckeyes. But you get a little disappointed sometimes because you want every game to be 77-0. Remember this. It was a conference game. It was on the road. It was the first game with a new starting quarterback, the first game of the season. So there's a lot there that you ultimately have to figure out. So we're going to come back, Schlegs. We're going to get our game reactions. We're going to figure out exactly what was going on, how they can fix it. Can it be fixed? Are these systemic problems? Are these bigger issues that we've got to dive into and try to figure out? I think a lot of it's correctable. I want to hear what you think. It's the Bobby Carpenter Show with my man, Anthony Schlegal, right here on the Big Play Network.
How does an Ohioan make his first legal sports bet?
The right decision on our first bet will make the weekend a hell of a lot more fun. Head, pick a heavy home favorite, like when a cupcake visits Columbus in September.
All our friends on High Street last night were talking about dogs with long odds.
If there's even a question, we bet on our guy. And we always see the second half letdown coming, so we can cash out before it gets ugly.
Ballsy. I like it.
For the best odds on Ohio sports, bet with your head. Bet with Typico Sportsbook.
Welcome to Big Play, a sports media team that started back in 2014, and now we're not in a garage. Look at us, incorporating some of Cleveland's favorite sports personalities, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland. Coming to you live from the shores of Lake Erie and Burke Lakefront Airport, join Team Big Play for all the best sports talk in Ohio. Check us out on social media at Big Play and join us for a tailgate this season down at Burke.
All right, welcome back in to the Bobby Carpenter Show featuring my man Anthony Schlegal. Ohio State Buckeyes 23, Indiana Hoosiers 3, Bloomington, Indiana. We're right here on the Big Play Network, and we're going to tell you what can be fixed, what can't be fixed. Should you be concerned, Schlegs? When you win a game by 20 points, a conference game, that should feel good. But in Buckeye Nation, we've been conditioned that all of these victories, these things should be huge. They should be astronomical. You should feel really good about the situation. So why, when people turn that game off at the end, did they probably feel left wanting a little bit more?
Because it was so terrible. I'm reading some of these tweets and they're talking about Ryan Day and talking about quarterback. Like every single year we hear it, and I get it. I mean, you're a fan. I'm a fan. Hey, why can't JT Barrett throw the ball? Why is he always running? Why can't Dwayne Haskins run the football? Why can't CJ Stroud run the football to get a first down? He's thrown up all these yards. Brian Day is terrible. All these other things that people are saying. Guys, listen, man, offensively, go back to Jim Tressel days, man, when your offense was that, and then now you're first in every statistical category. And you're super pissed. It's game one, and there's the adage. And again, I'm just like you. I'm 35,000 feet. I'm tweeting stuff out, right? With a real O-line, please step up. I thought they'd get some adjustments. They didn't. You know, Wild Turkey 101, give me a double because of this game right here. But you know what? The eye in the sky never lies, and it's never as good as it seems, and it's never as bad as it seems. And that's not being politically correct and being a media and trying to cover the team. I'll be hard on them. Bob, you'll be hard on them because we're freaking alumni. We've been on that field, so we know. All right, but here's the real reality. Offensive line is not what we wanted, okay? You can't hesitate. You got to be able to get to the second level. When you run stretch, and guess what? The defense might angle into your stretch because you want to run into the boundary. Guess what? I got to really be able to rip through that guy so my other teammate can get off the block and go block a Mike linebacker. Matter of fact, there's a thing, man. Freaking McCord ran the ball to get it to third and short on one play. I was like, oh, man, snap. And then he ran a quarterback draw. Then he ran a quarterback draw. Chip did a great job of walling his dude off, and he ran right into the dude. Okay, so listen. Hey, week one. All right, so I want to go to this. The real main concerning thing for me, besides that, okay, is our identity. And I think that we will clear this up once we move forward. And again, we got 2 more weeks. But Marvin Harrison Jr., 2 of 18 for 18 yards. Emeka Mbuka, 3 for 16. That's not acceptable. Ryan does not want that. I guarantee you Ryan wants to be a vertical passer, and that's why Kyle McCord came in there. Farmer Gronk had a day. Our running back room, they are freaks, man. They are really freaking good. Hats off to Tony Alford, okay? They were ready to play.
Well, and here's the one thing, Slugs. I think when they came in there, they wanted to kind of see what they had. So you saw a couple things. Trey was kind of the lead runner, obviously got a lot going, bounced some, but you saw on the one touchdown drive, Trey rips off, a 7-8 yarder. Then you see Chip Trainum come in. He rips off like a 14, 15 yarder, bounces the outside, gets down to the 2 or 3. They bring in Mayan Williams. He hammers it in. And so I think they're trying to balance and trying to figure out exactly who is going to be in there, how they're going to figure out this rotation. And then you see Chip Trainum a little bit playing some like fullback, like old fullback, like 8. And this is the thing, like Ryan knows they've got a lot of guys on this team. You saw a lot of 12 personnel, which is 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, 1 running back. G. Scott was playing a lot. But then when you do that, you take off 1 receiver, taking Julian Fleming out of there.
You do.
And so like you're trying to feed all these mouths. And I think in the first 3 weeks, a little bit of it is going to be them trying to figure out exactly what type of offense they're going to be, how they're going to utilize all this personnel, because diversity is key. And this, like any defensive player will tell you, prepare for one thing is not tough. But if you have to prepare for a team, they can hop in a 2-back set. They can hop in 2 tight ends, 2 backs. They can go 4 wide receivers, could go 5 wide receivers, could go 3 tight ends, 4 tight ends, all of those different things. That's a lot. And I think you saw a lot of those different things. Offensive line, No one was getting bullied up front. They were just missing guys running through. Think about the times in the past, like, where you've watched games where you've seen the line of scrimmage move backwards on offense. That's not good.
Oh, yeah.
That didn't happen. They miss guys on run throughs. Those are correctable mistakes. Everybody wants to get upset about it. Go ahead. You know who's going to be upset? Justin Fry screaming at those guys in meetings. I guarantee you that their Sunday meetings were not good. And saying, hey, Donovan Jackson, people value you as a first-round offensive line talent at guard. We're not coming off double teams. We've got to push Josh Simmons. You're athletic. We got to cut this guy off. We can't let backside penetration get us. But all those, to me, they're mental mistakes more than physical. And those guys are smart. They'll get that figured out. I'm not overly worried about it. Tom Allen didn't want to win that game. He wanted to lose it by as little as possible. They were running linebackers through. They were draining the clock. They were doing all that stuff. On the positive side, you look around and you start looking at the running backs that carried the ball. I believe there were 67 offensive plays. So they got more than what I thought, but it wasn't the 75 that you felt like they normally get where they're pushing the ball and scoring. Trey with 12 carries, Chip Trainum with 8, Mayan with 7. Like, all those guys were very productive. They looked good. We need to get more push. There needs to be more of a punch at the point of attack. But I thought that the offensive line did pretty good. The biggest thing that I saw offensively, Schlegs, is that whether Devin really didn't get a chance to play a ton, and we'll get into that, but Kyle, it felt like, could have pushed the ball down the field, and he didn't. And I don't know if that was by design with Ryan, the hesitancy of not wanting to make a mistake. I know he threw the pick. It was on 4th down. People got upset about it. I'm like, it's 4th down. You throw the ball regardless. You know why, Schlegs? Because they're getting the ball back. So the worst thing you can do is take a sack and not let your guy try to make a play or not have a chance. But it felt like there was a hesitancy for that vertical passing game that you talked about.
Well, you know, the other thing too is, like, he had that one to Fleming, like right down the middle. The guy made a really good play. He maybe got a little bit more air under it, but it was a good ball. It was tight. How about the one that he threw to Marvin for a touchdown? Again, we love Marvin. Marvin's an absolute freak. Marvin ran out of bounds on his own and then came back in. Like, if he doesn't do that, that's a touchdown.
I thought that was a bad call. Like, he got pushed.
Yeah.
And he could have probably fought harder to get back in bounds. And you expect a guy who's going to be a Blitnikoff winner to maybe be more cognizant of that. But I thought that was a bad call. And the non-targeting on Carnell Tate, Kyle threw a dime to him, and that should end up being a touchdown. And unfortunately, it's not.
Nope, you're absolutely right. And so the other little takeaway offensively, and again, these are things that you step back, right? Monday morning quarterback, whatever, people, right? The thing is this: 2 and 12 on 3rd down is not going to get the job done.
Yep.
And I thought we did a good job of getting it into 3rd and short, and we went to 4th down. We were 2 out of 3, but getting it to where it's manageable, especially when you have a young team and an offensive line, that has to be Ohio State's bread and butter. We'll get more into that when we talk about the time clock and stuff, but 2 and 12 is not good enough, Bob. Let's talk about some positives.
It's definitely not. Positive, though, Schlegs. Silver Bullets look like they're back. I mean, they held Indiana. It seemed like under 200 yards, under 175 yards of offense.
153 yards.
That's beautiful. You know why? Because you're watching a defensive line dominate up front. You're watching Chambers and Eichenberg run. You're watching Sonny Styles run.
Yes.
They were making plays. Josh Proctor coming out of the secondary. The DBs, I thought, played well. Burke, Hancock, Igbeneusen, all of those guys look good. They've got depth there. They're running to the football well. They were tackling well. Remember when a couple years back, like, they could not tackle. This team tackled well. They did not miss many tackles. And if you're fast and you're in the places you're supposed to be and you can tackle, you're going to have a pretty good defense. And that's what we saw on Saturday.
Yeah, and you have veteran guys. I mean, like, so again, year 2, and this is what we wanted to see: fast, violent, non-hesitant, silver bullet style defense. Jim Knowles' 2nd year, the coaching staff on the defensive side, James Laurinaitis coming in. You have veteran linebackers that run the show. Again, they're running the option, right? They had 20 passes. And again, I heard people talking about, well, we need to get more pressure up front. And I was like, you know what? We do. But then you look at how many of those 20 passes were actually passes that they could have got to a quarterback. Let's say 10. So that, they got 1 sack. So they're 1 for 10 on that. But here's what I did see: running the option, I saw a lot of disciplined guys on the dive, the quarterback, and the pitch, and guys from the backside pursuing. So when that quarterback wanted to cut it back up, boom, they were there to make a tackle. So I saw great pursuit. I saw guys playing fast. I thought the corners did really did a really nice job. I thought the secondary, except for Latham coming in and getting that personal foul when I think it could have gone away and it was close.
Which, I mean, Schlegs,
I listen, I'd rather play fast. Take the fit, right? I'm with you. Like
that was the worst. I'm not sure
which
was the worst call. The no call on the targeting on Carnell Tate or the Latham when he's like trying to pull up. And I'm like, if you wouldn't have made such a big deal about it, putting your hands in the air, like Lathan Ransom is one of the best dudes you're going to find. And he's trying to absolve himself. And they throw that flag. I'm like, I almost threw up on myself.
I know. Like, listen, I don't care. But again, he made a mistake, right? So all I care about is that the guys played really, really fast. And that was fun for me to watch. And now greatness is the accumulation of great days. So I know we're playing Youngstown State. Everybody's like, well, why aren't these guys getting in the game? And why aren't they doing this? And we got to get them to see where they are. They will be there. They're going to play in the next 2 weeks, and we're going to need that depth down the road. Okay. But you also want to go set the tone. And you set the tone by doing 153 with 3 points, silver bullet defensive style. That will carry over. The real test will be against Notre Dame. But it was great to see on the road at Indiana, Bob.
So I think you once said, all I know is pain, all I feel is rain. Yes. Or maybe that was DMX. I'm not sure. Either way, DMX, it's all in play. We'll talk about the thoughts. Well, RIP. Pour one out for him. We'll talk about the thoughts, the clock rule, what happened around college football, because there were some stunning things. Neon Dion, how it looks up in Colorado, how the Big Ten West looks. We'll get it all taken care of with the headlines. It's the Bobby Carpenter Show on the Big Play Network featuring my man, Anthony Schlegal.
Welcome to Big Play, a sports media team that started back in 2014, and now we're not in a garage. Look at us, incorporating some of Cleveland's favorite sports personalities, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland. Coming to you live from the shores of Lake Erie and Burke Lakefront Airport, join Team Big Play for all the best sports talk in Ohio. Check us out on social media at Big Play and join us for a tailgate this season down at Burke.
How does an Ohioan make his first legal sports bet?
The right decision on our first bet will make the weekend a hell of a lot more fun. Head, pick a heavy home favorite like when a cupcake visits Columbus in September.
All our friends on High Street last night were talking about dogs with long odds.
If it's even a question, we bet on our guy. And we always see the second half letdown coming so we can cash out before it gets ugly.
Ballsy. I like it.
For the best odds on Ohio sports, bet with your head. Bet with Typical Sportsbook.
My man, Anthony Schlegal, breaking down everything that went on in week one. The Ohio State Buckeyes down the Indiana Hoosiers 23-3. But there were some other things that happened around the college football landscape. Number one, and I'm gonna eat a big pile of crow right now because I was a believer, Schlegs, that and people always talk about culture. Like, how does culture matter? What is culture? But culture matters when you're losing. Culture matters when things is hard. When things are going easy, everybody wants to be their best. Everything is going to be good. And I didn't think Deion Sanders would be able to turn it around at Buffalo as fast as he did, or Colorado as fast as he did with the Buffaloes. They beat TCU, who played in the national championship game last year. They're ranked 17th in the country, 45-42. Shanor Sanders, his son, who everyone's laughing like, hey, I'm going to bring my son. He's going to play quarterback. You're like basically Uncle Rico out there. It's like Friday Night Lights, and you think it's going to be whatever. His son throws for over 500 yards. Looked good in the game. Tough kid. His other son playing on the defensive side, I believe, had 10 tackles. Like, this Colorado team is pretty solid. And I was impressed with what they were able to do. I don't know if they're going to be a contender in the Pac-12. And frankly, I don't think they will be because the top end of the Pac-12 is so good. But I think Deion Sanders proved that you can go in there and you can clean a roster out that was the worst in Division I FBS last year. And if you bring guys in, and he kind of dismisses culture, but quietly, Schlegs, I think Deion is a big culture guy. Yeah, he's all about grinding, working hard, because that's what he was as a player. Absolutely. And so if you do those things, you can have success. And they were able to get the win. And they did it in an adverse situation. It wasn't like they led the whole game. They had to grind. They had to come back and make some plays as the Buffs down the Horned Frogs in 100-degree heat down in the Metroplex, your home.
Yeah, no doubt. So here's the thing. There's a great book. It's called Blitzscaling. Blitzscaling is a business term. It's when you want to go to market really, really fast, when you want to change things. So let's start
Like Blitzkrieg.
No, Blitzkrieg, that's where it came from.
Lightning
Blitzscaling,
War.
right, in business. So Colorado signed Dion, right, Coach Prime, $29 million contract, 0.5. They didn't have the money. Like, we don't have the money. Well, guess what? They got it. They got fundraising from the, from donors or whatever, 28
Like you
million.
always told me, fake it till you make it. Is that kind of what Colorado did?
But they were upfront with it. They were just like, we don't got it, but we'll get it because he's going to bring the juice. And he did. And then they sold out their season tickets for the first time since 1997. Then he goes and he cuts the fat. And you know what? Everybody's like, oh, when it's college football and they're student athletes. Well, they're also getting paid now. They still have to honor the scholarships, or you can transfer. Okay. You have a choice whether you want to be with them or you don't. Right. So they're going to honor right, wrong, or indifferent, but you got to cut the cancer sometimes. And he went out and got people that want to buy into what he's selling. And here's the other thing too, though that's TCU that was in the national championship game last year. Everybody views people as what they were the last year. That's it. You're your own team this year, right? Because they lost some guys.
They lost a lot.
Lost their story. They lost a lot. But you go down there, hostile environment. Your son sets the school passing record. For the first time in school history, you had 4 wide receivers over 100 yards. You got this absolute freak in Travis Hunter who played 104, 44 to 160 snaps. It's all skewed. You don't know how many he played. In that heat, to go win a game and had a pick and over 100 yards receiving.
How about that pick?
Dogs.
How great, first of all, the read on the X slant, the H wheel, and him going and seeing that, and then the play he made, Schlegs, where he laid out to go get it.
And then
it's one of the best plays I've seen. And believe me, I was kind of skeptical. I'm like, you're going to try to tell me this guy can play both ways, basically the whole game like you do in high school. Travis Hunter did something remarkable.
Yes.
I think Dion's doing with him what he always wished people would have done with himself.
Yes. And you made a great point, Bob. So here's my thing with Colorado, right? They got upcoming challenges, man. They got Oregon, USC, Oregon State, Utah. Biggest concern for me is their ability to pass pro versus elite defenses. And they're going to see them coming up. 2 will be depth, because once you clean that roster out, like, who's behind those guys, right? Travis Hunter goes down. The quarterback, your son, goes down. Like, who's the next guy up? Because that's where the Alabamas, the Ohio States, the USCs, the Oregons of the world that you're competing against, they have depth. And when you start a new program like this and bring in 80 new people to your system, you're going to lack some depth. And lastly, can the defensive front 7 be able to stop the run? Because those good schools in the Pac-12 can run the football.
So, a couple other things. You look at the Big Ten. Purdue loses to Fresno State out
Oh
west.
my gosh. Okay, talk about
that. That had to be expected. Like, they were not going to be a good team. I don't know who thought they were going to be good. They obviously had issues. Purdue loses to Fresno. I don't think they're going to be as good as last year. They're replacing their quarterback. They've got a lot of stuff. Positive
new
though.
Coach.
You look at Iowa. Cade McNamara, they double move, I believe, the first or second play of the game. Big time touchdown. They beat Utah State, who I think will be a pretty decent team, 24-14. And our guy, Luke Fickell, up at Wisconsin, beats Buffalo 38-17. A little tight at halftime. It's 14-10. They pull away late. But the Big Ten West, I think, has a chance to have some pretty decent squads over there.
You do. God bless you. I think there's only 2, Wisconsin and Iowa. I mean, like, Minnesota barely beat Nebraska, but Nebraska had 4 turnovers, and it was at Minnesota. And so, I think Nebraska will start to come alive. I think they will be better than they were last year. Wisconsin, Iowa, I think they're kind of the ones because of Fick being there, changing the culture. I think defensively, 17 points to Buffalo is not what he wanted, but he's going to take 38. And again, the people are buying into him and in his tough and nasty mentality. Northwestern got smoked by Rutgers, right? So they're at the bottom. The head coach was fired. So they're non-existent. So to me, can Illinois start to show up a little bit, right? But they barely beat Toledo by 2. And Toledo's always one of the best premier MAC teams.
Toledo is a good MAC team. Historically, year in and year out, they're one of the better teams you'll find.
Yeah. But, right, so to me, it's just Wisconsin and Iowa, right? So that's what it's going to come down to. And a little disappointing, but you know what? The East is stacked. And that's also why you brought in Washington and Oregon and USC and UCLA to be in that West. And we're going to all mix it up together. The girthiest conference in the country. Here we go.
So much girth, so wide. Washington, huge win. Oregon, huge win. Like, those teams look really good offensively. You look at UCLA, what they were able to do. You look at USC. I mean, there's some stuff that will end up happening, and they'll change all that stuff around. But I want to look at Wisconsin because Ohio State's going to have to travel up there. Tanner Mordecai,
Yes.
I think, played pretty well. They struggled early on. I think Buffalo put together a pretty good package. You and I know what Luke Fickell's about. We know the type of coach he is and what he's going to bring to the table. They're a team that's transitioning to the spread. And I think Luke was very smart about this, the way that he did it. He knew that you have to modernize the offense. But deep down, you and I know that Luke Fickell is still going to be about defense and running the football. It's like when Urban Meyer got to Ohio State. Like, they talk about this spread. No, we're going to do this and that. The reality is we're going to spread you out to run it down your throat. And we're going to try to physically impose our will upon you. And that's what I think Fick is trying to do up at Wisconsin, that same type of footprint.
Yep. And you're right. And you got to transfer quarterback from SMU, so you know he can throw it, right? So everybody's like, we're going to do air raid. We're going to do air raid. They're going to be throwing the football. It's Wisconsin. How's he going to work? It's cold.
It's the dairy raid.
The dairy raid. I like it. The dairy raid. So, but you know what he's going to do? He's going to run the football. And he's going to play a tough defense. And that's what it's going to take to win up there. And it will be a difficult place. When he gets this thing humming, it will be a difficult place to play and to win some football games. And Luke's going to do some damage up there because he can freaking recruit.
He can. He does a great job of it. So, coming up next, we've got Youngstown State. It's an FCS school, but listen, Schlegs, it's the Y-Town Hustlers. You go up to Mahoning County.
Oh, man.
There's a bunch of Buckeyes from up there. You know,
yeah.
Northeast Ohio. It's good, folks. It's basically the Tressel Bowl. Jim Tressel is no longer the president. He is retired. But you have the Youngstown State Penguins. They're going to be coming into town. Yeah. Are they going to be a huge challenge? Probably not. There's going to be a lot of history around it. There's going to be a lot of stories around it. You have a number of players from that part of the state who understand what's going on. It's going to be a nice game. And there's going to be opportunity to get some confidence, get some things going. So pretty excited about that. We'll preview what we need to see next week coming up with the Tressel Bowl preview. It's the Bobby Carpenter Show with my man, Anthony Schlegal, right here on the Big Play Network.
How does an Ohioan make his first legal sports bet?
The right decision on our first bet will make the weekend a hell of a lot more fun. Head, pick a heavy home favorite like when a cupcake visits Columbus in September.
All our friends on High Street last night were talking about dogs with long odds.
If it's even a question, we bet on our guy. And we always see the second half letdown coming so we can cash out before it gets ugly.
Ballsy. I like it.
For the best odds on Ohio sports, bet with your head. Bet with Typico Sportsbook.
Welcome to Big Play, a sports media team that started back in 2014, and now we're not in a garage. Look at us, incorporating some of Cleveland's favorite sports personalities, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland. Coming to you live from the shores of Lake Erie and Burke Lakefront Airport, join Team Big Play for all the best sports talk in Ohio. Check us out on social media at Big Play and join us for a tailgate this season down at Burke.
Hey, welcome back in to the Bobby Carpenter Show featuring my man, Anthony Schlegal on the Big Play Network. We'll be giving you the best Buckeye coverage all season long. Right now, we've got week 2 coming up, Youngstown State. Indiana Schlegs looked a little underwhelming, 23-3.
Yeah,
would have loved to see that score probably be 38-3. Felt a little better about it. And so you're a player, you're coming off a conference game on the road, first game of the season. Is it tough for players to get up for the second game of the year when you may be playing an opponent that everybody knows you're supposed to beat?
Hey, man, tough getting it up should only happen when you're in your 60s, okay? So now when you're playing football at The Ohio State University in the shoe, guess what? You should always be up because you get an opportunity to go destroy people. Like, that's why we play it. It's a violent physical game. I've worked my absolute face off all off season. You had me doing freaking mat drills. Then we go to spring football. Then you got me running the stadium and stuff like that, sweat my face off. Then we're in camp and we're hitting each other. And now I get an opportunity to go out there and play somebody. I want to take souls. And that's what you should do. You shouldn't have a hard time getting it up. Okay? No Cialis for you. It's just football.
I love it. No Cialis for you. Schlegs. And I tell these guys every year, when you get to Ohio State, it seems like you're going to run out of that tunnel 1,000 times.
Oh, it's sweet, man.
You feel like you're sitting there. It's like watching Gladiator, and you're sitting there
Yeah.
You're looking at Commodus. Whatever comes out of these gates, we have a better chance of survival if we work together. And then one day, you're looking at your last year. And this year in particular, you only have 6 home games. That's right,
Yes.
6 right here. 6 home games. Those are going to go fast. And the last one you don't even remember hardly because it's senior day and you're running out there and your mind's a blur. It's crazy, everything that's going on. So there's so much to digest. And so I think this year in particular, these guys are going to understand it. They're going to get it more. They'll be locked in. You still have a quarterback battle going on. And that's one thing I think we can probably hone in on a little bit. We call it a battle. I think people anticipated it, Schlegs, being more of a battle than what it was.
Yeah.
Devin Brown, what did he throw, pass in the first half? You thought he was going to get
He was 1 for
reps.
3 for he was 1 for 3 for -2. He had 2 series.
And I think part of the reality was the game didn't set itself up for him to be able to play more. I think Ryan would have loved to have done that. But when you're trying to drain the clock like Indiana did, you couldn't really get that feel. You couldn't get it rolling. And so I think Devin will play a lot. I think obviously this will be a big scoring game. If it's not, there's going to be issues.
Right.
But I think it's going to be a situation where we're going to see that, though obviously it's a much lesser opponent and they're not going to be able to do, have linebackers running through and different things like that. But it'll be much cleaner. But I'm curious to see how the quarterbacks interact. If they choose to be more aggressive to go down the field, especially against lesser competition. And sometimes, let's be honest, dude, you need a confidence boost. You need a slump buster. You need something that's going to get you going. And this game for the offense, it could be wholly that'll get you going and put you in a spot to be able to have more success.
Yep. I think the defense got that last week versus Indiana. They played really well on the road, right? So Youngstown State is going to be about how do those guys go out there? And to your point, Bob, they're literally going to get a half. Tommy Eichenberg and Steel Chambers, some of those guys, they might get a quarter and a half. You know what I mean? So you got to go make the best of your opportunities when you go out there. Because defensively, we need to see some younger guys for the depth.
Young dudes.
Indiana.
So that's what you love is young dudes, right?
Young dudes, man. I love developing dudes. That's why I became a strength coach, Bob, to develop them, to extrapolate greatness from them, to then watch them go out and just be a
so you once told me
dude.
You like to jerk the greatness out of a young dude.
I never said that at all. Okay, so let's talk offensively. And you know what? I really don't think the battle, we would have seen it really be a battle, but I think that Ryan trusts McCord more from a vertical passing standpoint. That's it. I mean, that's why he played more. He's like, I trust this guy probably more vertical passing. I want to get in the flow. The game doesn't dictate me rolling these people. We got to go make it happen. He's in the game. That's why he got all the series. I think that he's probably going to go play. If they get up fast and he gets 3 series and they score, you will see him come in. If he's got 2 and it's 14-0, I still think he's probably going to let him ride a little bit till he gets another one. You got to start building some continuity between him and our wide receivers. They're too freaking good. That being said, go ahead, hit me.
Well, do you like to and this is a game, and so you obviously you want to develop some things, you want to get some confidence rolling. You can see that they're working on the run game and trying to get that stuff going on.
Yes.
Is this a situation where do you want to take shots early? Do you want to have those big plays, have those Sports Center highlights? Or is this a situation where you want to come out and have, a 6-7 play drive where you're ripping off runs down the field and really making a big push to try to dominate, kind of impose your will, and maybe get your confidence going in that way?
I think that it's going to be whatever I think Ryan thinks is needed the most. If he thinks like, man, we really got to get better up front so that we can have a running game to set up our passing game, he's going to do that. We saw it back in the day. I mean, we could throw it on anybody with CJ and Dwayne. Like that kind of set up the run because they had to play back. Like you got to stop them. So it made them a little softer. But when you stack the box and that's all you got, and we can't get our guys the ball in the perimeter, there's no threat. So we're just going to put 9 in the box. It's going to be difficult to run. So I think it's whatever he wants to set up as his identity, you're going to see early on in the game to give him, because ultimately you have to come out of these 2 games with your starting quarterback for Notre Dame being
that's
locked
the goal.
and loaded.
That's the main objective the next 2 weeks, you said.
Main objective.
Come out of this situation, these 2 weeks with your starting quarterback. That's
with continuity. That's it. With continuity with your offensive line, knowing who to block, who to set the front to. You already have great running backs. You already got solid tight ends. You have a freak, like just freaks everywhere, right? On the wide receivers, you have to establish who's your quarterback so you get continuity and trust in that game. Let's not kid ourselves, man. Kyle McCord and Marvin Harrison Jr. won 3 state titles in PA. There's continuity there, but they need reps to be able to do that. So it's either going to be in practice or it's going to be in a game. And the sooner you figure it out, the better it will be for Notre Dame.
So who scores the most touchdowns in this game?
As a wide receiver, like, what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, quarterback passing touchdowns don't exclude. I'm talking crossing the goal line with the ball in your hand, running back, tight end, wide receiver.
I would say wide receiver room has the most because
No. Don't give me a room crap. Give me
No.
a player.
All right, Marvin Harrison Jr.
I'm trying to make some money, Schlegs.
Emeka's going to have one. I could see him getting it down there, and Cade's probably going to get one. You know, Mayan had 2 touchdowns last week. I mean, Chip and Trevion will be like, hey, bro, hey, I got to get some. Chip, I got to get a touchdown, bro. I put all that work in. You give it to Rockhead over there. Well, 230 meatball running in there from 5 yards away. I could have done that, but you give it to mine. I need to get mine. So I don't know. They're all going to score, Bob. They're all going to score.
That's the worst answer I've heard.
I know it's okay. That's why I don't.
I'm going to go Carnell Tate. I think 2 touchdowns is the leader. Someone else may tie him, but here's the reality. They're going to feed the dogs in the first half.
Yes.
He might get one at the end, and then he'll be around at the second. And I think they'll throw it around enough.
That's a good point.
That he'll probably end up getting some garbage touchdowns. You know, Schlegs, it's like your starters, they'll be over there. They'll be on the sideline. You want to have someone come over there and kind of clean up the scraps. I think Carnell Tate will be able to do that. Real quickly, do you think, I guess, how much in our last minute do you think the clock changes of not stopping after a first down will impact this offense?
Bro, listen, man. OSU ran 67 plays. Indiana ran 53 plays. That's 14 plays less and only had the ball for 4 minutes less.
Yeah.
They ran it a lot. Okay. I mean, like, they chewed it up. And that's Notre Dame's game plan. So listen, possessions are at a premium. Opposing offenses that can run the football is going to be tough because they're going to chew up the clock, keep games closer. Defense has to do a great job of getting off the field on 3rd down to do what? Give a possession back to our offense. Like, it is critical now. I like that it stops in 2 minutes, but it is critical now more than ever.
It really will be. And like you said, Notre Dame, I think that'll be the game plan for them. They got a big win. You know, we see what they can do. They look good. How about the little Marcus and Eddie, a little Buckeye Bowl looking good for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
That's right.
You know, putting up a little bit of a fight there. That was good. But I'm with you. I think that is the game plan. You look at what Indiana did, that'll be a roadmap for Notre Dame to try to attack the Buckeyes. So they have this week Youngstown State. Next week, they will have Western Kentucky. We'll see how that ultimately looks. Hopefully, find a quarterback, get it going. And I think the offensive line will take care of itself. But I know this. The defense, the Silver Bullets, they're going to be back, and they're going to be good. Coming up next, Schlegs, we're going to do our favorite segment that we do every week. We're going to dive in to what everybody has to say. We want to know what you, as a listener, as a Buckeye fan, what are your questions so we can answer them for you right here on the Bobby Carpenter Show, featuring my man, Anthony Schlegal, on the Big Play Network.
Welcome to Big Play, a sports media team that started back in 2014, and now we're not in a garage. Look at us, incorporating some of Cleveland's favorite sports personalities, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland. Coming to you live from the shores of Lake Erie and Burke Lakefront Airport, join Team Big Play for all the best sports talk in Ohio. Check us out on social media at Big Play and join us for a tailgate this season down at Burke.
How does an Ohioan make his first legal sports bet?
The right decision on our first bet will make the weekend a hell of a lot more fun. Head, pick a heavy home favorite like when a cupcake visits Columbus in September.
All our friends on High Street last night were talking about dogs with long odds.
If there's even a question, we bet on our guy. And we always see the second half letdown coming so we can cash out before it gets ugly.
Ballsy. I like it.
For the best odds on Ohio sports, bet with your head. Bet with Typical Sportsbook.
All right, here we go. This is our favorite segment each and every week. It is the questions from you, coming from the listeners. Buckeye Nation, what we've got going on. Number one, we're going to go to our guy, Patrick, and he's going to ask, listen, McCord is the starting quarterback and that is that. No questions, but the O-line play. Can the O-line improve enough to stay in contention for the college football playoff? Schlegs, what say you?
I say that you have some young guys starting new. You're filling in 3 dudes that are going to be playing on Sundays. It's early in the season. I think they can get it done. I think we didn't see a lot of penetration. I think they can gel. You got 2 more weeks to prove it before you to go to Notre Dame, Bob.
I think they've got some time. They'll be able to work through it. I know this. Justin Fry is a good offensive line coach. And I always like to lean in on the position coaches. I think when he came in, it was kind of an underrated hire. Not a lot of people knew about him. He's an Indiana guy, Schlegs. We played against him. He's a great coach. He's a great teacher. He does a great job of explaining things. They didn't get physically dominated up front. They had some mental mistakes. They will get those corrected. They'll get those fixed. They'll be able to move forward in a positive way. I'm looking forward to what they're going to be able to do. And I think this team, honestly, I think that they have an opportunity to be able to have one of the better offensive lines. But as you know, Schlegs, offensive line takes a little bit of continuity to kind of get that rolling, to get that established, and to get it going. So I think they'll be okay. I know you believe that.
I do too, man. And it starts with the quarterback in the center, right? So once we figure all that out, like they'll be like, all right, this is who we're riding with. Let's go.
And they'll get it figured out. I believe that wholly. Okay. So now we're going to the second question here.
Yep.
This comes from Buckeye Recruiting and News.
Okay.
Do you think Chip should get the first shot at running back? That's Chip Trainum, I believe.
Yeah, no doubt.
He looked the best on Saturday. Would you also make a change at left tackle, referring to Josh Simmons, who just transferred in?
You know, to me, I'll be real brief with this. To me, I think they're going to start utilizing Chip as like they do a Kyle Juszczyk from the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, he can be there. He can run the football. He can get out to the flats. I think he's a guy, man. He played linebacker. He's playing running back. He has great feet. He can add a lot of value. I think he's one of those special type guys that they're going to move around. And with the offensive line, the answer is no. Pump the brakes. He has a huge body. He has athletic potential. The mistakes that we saw, a guy running scot-free, that's not on his athleticism. That's on knowing what to do. So that's on Coach Fry to get them coached up. Bob.
And you were a Highland Park Scott, Schleich, so you would know about being scot-free more than anybody.
Oh, yeah. Playing bagpipes, baby.
We'll start on the left tackle. Yeah, you got to leave Josh Simmons there. Let him work on this. He's athletic. They moved him from right to left. He has all the skills and all the tools. He just needs to be coached. And experience, as you know, is the best teacher. And you know how you get experience? By playing. And you know what happens sometimes? It doesn't always look good. You're going to miss a block. You're not going to take a steep cutoff. And maybe he'd been believing the hype because he came to Ohio State and said, hey, we're just playing Indiana and we beat them every year, every time we played them since 1988. So it'll be easy. Except, you know what? They got dudes there too. Tom Allen's a defensive coach. He knows what's going on and they're going to make sure that they stunt into what we're doing. And he did a great job with that.
Yep.
And so Josh Simmons, I think, will be fine. If you get back to me week 7 or 8 and it still looks like this, then yeah, let's make a change. But right now I'm good with it. Chip is going to play a lot. You saw him in there. On the 4th down that Kyle threw the interception, they were trying to leak him to the flat. They want to get him the ball in space. They want to have him lead block. He can do a little bit of running back. He can do a ton of things. So pretty excited about what Chip Trainum can do. I'm not going to sit here and say he should be the lead running back because I think you have Trey, who will be the lead guy. I think Mayan's going to be the short yardage dude and the finisher. And Schleich, you know about finishing off dudes. And I think, well, and they're going to try to work in Evan Pryor and try to get some other guys through there. I think Chip is going to be kind of the wild card. I mean, dude, he had 8 carries. They're trying to get him the ball in the flat. He's definitely a weapon that they'll be able to use. Final question from official Ohio State DG.
Okay.
Dylan Everyday. There's 3 questions here. We're only going to get to the 3rd. Why did Emeka and Marv have 34 yards against a bad team?
Okay, great question. I have no clue either, bro. Great. Michigan game at the house, throw it to Marvin. I would have done the same thing. Why they only had 34 yards? I don't know. We didn't throw him the football. But it also goes back to a second question. Why do we do tempo? I think these are things that we're going to figure out. But it also comes with who is your quarterback? Because once we have that, I think Ryan is more comfortable throwing the ball downfield vertically. I think they're going to have 3 wide receivers on the field, and that's going to start opening it up, which will get them more yards, Bob.
They'll be able to do a lot of things. And I don't think Ryan schemed anything up. You saw, and I watched a couple plays, they were doubling Marvin. They were not going to let him beat him. And I think part of it is the hesitancy of Kyle to push the ball down the field. And I think that Devin has that too. And that's part of the problem when you're in this. You have new quarterbacks. They're afraid of making mistakes. They don't want to turn the football over, those things. And I get that. But eventually you got to let it rip. And so they're going to scheme some stuff up. You'll see it happen this week and next week. And hopefully that'll give them the confidence that when they go to South Bend on the road again in a big environment, hopefully a lot of Buckeye fans are there. They'll be able to let it rip. Coming up, we'll give our last take, our final thoughts about everything that we saw, what we're going to see next week, right here on the Bobby Carpenter Show, featuring my man Anthony Schlegal on the Big Play Network.
How does an Ohioan make his first legal sports bet?
The right decision on our first bet will make the weekend a hell of a lot more fun. Head, pick a heavy home favorite like when a cupcake visits Columbus in September.
All our friends on High Street last night were talking about dogs with long odds.
Is it even a question? We bet on our guy. And we always see the second half letdown coming so we can cash out before it gets ugly.
Ballsy. I like it.
For the best odds on Ohio sports, bet with your head. Bet with Typical Sportsbook.
Welcome to Big Play, a sports media team that started back in 2014, and now we're not in a garage. Look at us, incorporating some of Cleveland's favorite sports personalities, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland. Coming to you live from the shores of Lake Erie and Burke Lakefront Airport, join Team Big Play for all the best sports talk in Ohio. Check us out on social media at Big Play and join us for a tailgate this season down at Burke.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment of the Bobby Carpenter Show featuring Anthony Schlegal right here on the Big Play Network. Thank you for tuning in. We got Indiana in the books, 23-3. We got Youngstown State coming up this week. Very excited, Schlegs, for that. We got Western Kentucky after that. We'll get to that next week. I know everybody doesn't feel great about this game, and I'm with them. I didn't leave the game like with a warm blanket over me, a nice fleece that like a quilt that said, hey, Bobby, just wrap yourself inside of me. This is going to be great in this season. We're going to skate to the CFP. Anytime that we've had a new quarterback, we've had some growing pains. You go back and look at Justin Fields from his first spring ball here. You go back and look at CJ, his first game against Minnesota. They're losing at halftime. It didn't feel good. He's 13 of 22 in the game. Now, granted, he threw for almost 300 yards, but he was barely 50% passing. And he's one of the most accurate guys with the ball I've ever seen. So I don't want to sit here and besmirch Kyle in this offense and everything that has possibly happened over the last week. So I think there is room to improve. I know this, Schlegs.
Yep.
Good coaches get the most out of their players. They get the most out of their teams. And Ryan Day is a good coach. And if you've watched him over his tenure at Ohio State, the teams have gotten better throughout the year, and especially on offense at the quarterback position. We focused on that. We know, I think, what the defense is. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, well, here's one thing we never mentioned. Fielding was 3 for 3 on field goals. That's good. I didn't really think I was going to see that early this season, but we did. It's good to have a kicker that can make kicks. You know, in this game coming up, the Tressel Bowl, matter of fact, listen, look at this. Bob, you know what this is. It's my goal sheet. Jim Tressel sent me my goal sheet.
Did it say beat Youngstown State on there?
No, it doesn't. It says enjoy these items. God bless Coach T with some Buckeyes, because you know why? He's a Buckeye all the way. So that being said, I'm excited for this game because I'm excited to see some young guys. I want to see the corrections, and then I want to let the young dogs eat, man. Remember, you got 4 games to get people reps. That's where you have Youngstown State and Western Kentucky, because we're going to need depth at some point. However, but we got to see the corrections made from week 1 to week 2. Every week, you got to see a progression. Okay. And this week in particular, I want to see the offensive line, though it's an inferior opponent. I want to see what the quarterback situation is going to be. I want to see what Ryan Day wants to have as, you know, his offensive mindset going into the Notre Dame game, which he's not going to expose a lot because he doesn't have to until he gets to Notre Dame. So that being said, I want to see improvement, but I also want to see a lot of these young dogs eat next week in the shoe, Bob.
I think you're going to get a chance to see that. That's going to be a big deal. You'll have an opportunity for them to get some playing time. This should be a time to stretch that score, hopefully in the second half. Get some of those young guys in. It's something that hasn't happened in the past. Jim Knowles talked about wanting to play young guys. Ryan Day has talked about it. They've got a lot of young receivers. They've got a lot of young guys on the defensive side. Hopefully they'll get all that queued up. They'll figure it out and they'll get that taken care of. But that is all for this show. We're excited. We'll get you back next week. Bobby Carpenter Show on the Big Play Network.
Welcome to Big Play, a sports media team that started back in 2014, and now we're not in a garage. Look at us, incorporating some of Cleveland's favorite sports personalities, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland. Coming to you live from the shores of Lake Erie and Burke Lakefront Airport, join Team Big Play for all the best sports talk in Ohio. Check us out on social media at Big Play and join us for a tailgate this season down at Burke.